Joins us on the sofa at around about 20 to 9. Right now at 7:28, the latest national and international news. Adrian Brown is in Washington, Gordon Honeycomb in our studios here. Gordon.
Thanks, Richard. Hello, good morning. The news. The strike-hit Ford car company have confirmed that they plan to cut 3,000 jobs at their plant at Dagenham in Essex. They say cuts will be made by negotiation with the unions and there will be no compulsory redundancies. The move is reported to be part of a bid to step up productivity to compete with Nissan's car plant in Sunderland. Meanwhile, as the strike by Ford's 32,000 workers comes to the end of its first week, one of the company's largest European plants has been forced to close. This report from Jeff Mead in Belgium.
The assembly line's to be shut down are at one of Ford's showplace factories, and the stoppage is likely to be seen as a significant victory by the strikers in Britain. Genk in Belgium employs 9,500 workers, building mostly left-hand drive Sierras and transit vans. The workforce here has already accepted Japanese-style job sharing, so central to the British dispute. The management wouldn't confirm workers' claims that output of 1,400 Sierras a day was stopping simply because they'd run out of British-built bonnet locks and jack clips. Ford's policy of avoiding expensive stockpiled parts was meant to match Japanese productivity. What it has done is to hand the strikers an effective weapon. This is Jeff Mead, TVAM, at Genk in Belgium.
On the last day of the emergency summit meeting in Brussels, EEC leaders will meet today to try to sort out the community's budget crisis. Mrs. Thatcher is refusing to put any more money into the EEC until spending on food surpluses is cut. From Brussels, Maya Even reports.
Late into the night, the crisis summit continued as ministers opted for a working meal. Main course on the menu, the farm crisis. All evidence of the determination here for an accord. But ministers were still searching for that agreement at their first meeting. Mrs. Thatcher looking for allies to support her tough policies on grain surpluses. And Germany's Chancellor Kohl shrugging off her angry accusations that he was running away from the farm problem. Brinksmanship is a favourite game played by European summiteers, and some leaders are definitely holding out on concessions in the hope of a last-minute deal. The only certainty is that without that deal, the European community will, in a few months' time, go broke. Maya Even, TVAM, Brussels.
Back home, 22 men will appear before magistrates in Manchester this morning, charged with violent offences at football matches. One man is charged with serious wounding, the others with riot offences. The charges follow police inquiries into the activities of two gangs allegedly involved in violence at Manchester City's away matches. Finally, in Washington, President Reagan has announced a new long-term American space program costing billions of dollars. It includes a plan to send a manned mission to Mars early in the next century, a permanent manned space station, and a base on the moon. That's the news. It's 7:32. Trish.
Thanks very much, Gordon. And that, fans, here's the half hour you've been waiting for. Take it away, Cape Crusader.
First bite into real milk chocolate. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then crunch into light crispy rice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chew, chew, chew the caramel toffee in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wafer and fondant too.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Only the new headmasters have a commander that transforms into the head of the robot. Transformers!
The race to the White House has always been long and hard. And along the way, it sure helps to find the right running mate.
Howdy, Mr. Lincoln. Perky's the name. Henry D. Perky.
Beat it, Buster. I'm busy.
But, Mr. Lincoln, my new shredded wheat cereal has all the bran fiber of 100% whole wheat.
You don't say.
No added salt nor sugar neither.
So?
So 2's fine if you're running for a bus. But since you're running for president...
3 shredded wheat?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, thanks, Perky. The hat's mighty fine, too.
Shredded wheat, the original whole wheat cereal. Hello, Miss Walton. Hello, Miss
Some girls like to run around, like to handle everything they see. My girls have to run around, you know they'd rather be with me.
The advantage of shopping at your local Vantage chemist is that as well as friendly service, you get Vantage products. Quality you can trust, prices you'd rather pay.
You know they'd rather be with me.
With a taste as famous as ours, Heinz really is. Super Troopers. Like good old Heinz chicken soup, just one of the much-loved soups in a range that's always made Heinz Britain's favourite.
Super, Gran. Garden really does look nice.
Heinz chicken soup.
Treeball spirits are a minty bit stronger.
It doesn't fit properly. Let's drop the word spear.
Treeball mints are a minty bit stronger.
Oh, we're spearmen!
Treeball spirits are a minty bit stronger.
Treeball mints are a minty bit strong.
Battle beasts!
Rub their battle badges to reveal their secret strengths. There's a whole army to collect.
Battle beasts! Battle till the battle's won!
In the weekly news, meet the Aussie neighbours everyone's talking about in a super new series, plus the stars of Wish Me Luck, and gold up for grabs in our free contest. Get the weekly news, great value.
Next time you catch a cold, sniff out your pharmacist.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3,
Now you can buy a pack of 5 for only 32p, but hurry up before they go.
Now what then?
Only a filling breakfast is good enough for the Super Bowl, Bob.
Or the breakfast bowl, John.
Okay.
If you don't want to spend all day cleaning and shining, here's something worth trying. It's a liquid called, well, you can see what it's called. It cleans and shines without any rinsing your floors, worktops, leaving everything shiny with that lovely lemony smell. Now, can you see yourself using anything else? Ask for it by name.
Exeger. Exeger Dicryl. Normal. Ro Etawa.
There's no about it. When a chestic cough arrives, it does to get in the way. It spells. It can bring up to your day. There's no other word for it. It's downright. Actifed expectorant from Wellcome is specially formulated to help deal with all these problems, and it's available from pharmacists without prescription. So when you get a chesty cough, you know what the last word is.
A million miles beyond the sun, the Mookie Bar feast has just begun. But in the middle of the dance, the evil knight sees his chance.
It's Mookie Bar Kids! The Mookie Bar Kid is tough and strong. The Mookie Bar Kid just can't go wrong. With prettiest milk, the whitest bar. It's the same Mookie Bar. Mookie Bar, on me!
Simply had to tell you about our new Coleman's home-style cooking sauces. The special pack seals in the freshness and flavour, so there's no need for any added artificial colours or preservatives. They make an everyday meal simply delicious. Coleman's. Always make the best a touch better.
When your stomach's on the blink, with painful wind and acid indigestion, there's an effective solution that quickly gets you back to normal service. Double-action indigestion remedies made by Boots. Ah, that's better. When you're feeling out of order, turn to Boots Medicines.
Pura 100% pure soft vegetable lard is exactly what it says it is. Pura.
Lady drivers, reward your safe driving with low-cost motor insurance. Call Swinton.
Don't forget the pancakes on Jif Lemon Day.
Do you feel all right?
Sonatogen, the favourite family of vitamins.
Well, Batman will be back on Monday. Now, the better weather is also back, as I said earlier. There's a ridge of high pressure sitting over the British Isles, and this morning, the best of the weather is going to be down the eastern side of the country. Quite a lot of sunny intervals and not too much cloud cover either, but it's going to be quite a chilly day. Now, down the western side of the British Isles, as you can see, there's a bit of rain and even snow up here in the northwest. Now, that's because of a series of frontal troughs that are moving in from the Atlantic, and that weather is going to get a little bit heavier as the day goes on. So let's move on now to this afternoon and see exactly how that is going to develop. Well, first of all, let's take a look at the temperatures. Maximum of about 7 degrees Celsius along the south coast here, and the lowest temperatures today are going to be in the far north of Scotland, 5 degrees Celsius, and also the northeast of England, about 5 degrees as well. Slightly warmer down the western side of the British Isles. Now, the rain is building up as the day goes on down the western side of the country, and those sunny intervals will die down slowly as the afternoon progresses. Now, one thing that's happening today, the winds died down yesterday, and this morning they're going to be about 15 to 20 miles an hour on average throughout the entire British Isles, but this afternoon they're going to start picking up. Now, by this evening, so let's move on to the picture this evening. By this evening, up in the northwest of Scotland, there are going to be blizzard conditions. It's going to be very blowy, winds up to about 50 miles an hour, still out of the west. And down here in Wales and the southwest of the British Isles, the winds are going to be about 35-40 miles an hour. The sun will go obviously down the eastern side of the country tonight. It'll be quite cloudy and even a little bit of rain by morning. Have a very good day. Now it's 8 o'clock, time to join Anne Diamond and Mike Morris for Good Morning Britain.
Hello, it's coming up to 8 o'clock on Friday the 12th of February. You're watching Good Morning Britain from TVAM. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Mike Morris. Now, after the news, we're going to ask why victims of the operant drug are taking their fight to the United States. Also, what chance, if any, well, they've got good chances, I suppose, does Britain have in the Winter Olympics?
The pop singer Eddie Grant will be here, and we'll be having a look at his new video. And, of course, Jimmy Greaves will be joining us a bit later on to talk about the telly that's coming up this weekend. First of all, though, the news from Gordon Honeycomb in London and Adrian Brown in Washington.
Hello, good morning. The news from TVAM. The strike-hit Ford car company have confirmed that they plan to cut 3,000 jobs at their biggest car plant at Dagenham in Essex. They say cuts will be made by negotiation with the unions and there will be no compulsory redundancies. According to a report in this morning's Independent newspaper, the cuts are part of a bid to step up productivity to compete with the Nissan car plant in Sunderland. Meanwhile, as the strike by 32,000 Ford workers comes to the end of its first week, the company will today shut down their main assembly plant in Belgium. 9,500 workers there are being laid off because the factory has run out of essential components supplied from Britain. This report from Jeff Mead in Belgium.
The Ford strikers in Britain will be cheered at the news that their action by tonight will have halted all European production of the high-selling Sierra and Transit ranges. This showpiece factory at Genk in Belgium laid off 2,500 Transit workers on Tuesday. By tonight, the other 7,000 production staff will have been sent home as output of 1,400 Sierras a day comes to a stop.
Well, not so happy. We have a good production program. We can sell the cars, and we need the cars for sale.
Genk's shutdown, caused by a cut-off of British-made engines, panels and fittings, will double Ford's showroom price losses in the strike to nearly £20 million a day. European Union leaders due for talks in London next week say they'll support the stoppage. But whatever their union leaders may say, the workers here have little sympathy with their British counterparts. Indeed, they'd be quite glad to build all the Sierras and Transits for the whole of Europe. This is Jeff Mead, TVAM at Genk in Belgium.
European ministers have their last chance today to sort out the EEC's budget crisis. It's the final day of the emergency summit in Brussels. Mrs. Thatcher has said she won't give more money to the EEC until spending on food surpluses is cut. From Brussels, Maya Even reports.
Late into the night, the crisis summit continued as ministers opted for a working meal. On the menu, the farm crisis, spiralling surpluses, and aid to the poorer regions of Europe. All evidence of the determination here to reach an accord. But ministers were still searching in vain for that agreement at their first meeting. Mrs. Thatcher looking for allies to support her tough policies on grain surpluses. And Germany's Chancellor Kohl shrugging off her angry accusations that he was running away from the farm problem. And to top it off, strong criticism of the leaders from the European Parliament's President, Lord Plum.
To use my earlier analogy, the shareholders would by now have sacked the board of directors.
Brinksmanship is a favourite game played by European summiteers, and some leaders are definitely holding out on concessions in the hope of a last-minute deal. The only certainty is that without that deal, the European community will, in a few months' time, go broke. Maya Even, TVAM, Brussels.
Here at home, health service employees, including doctors and nurses, have voted to stage a series of rolling 2-hour strikes at London hospitals. The move is in protest at the offer of a 5% increase in the London waiting allowance, an average of £50 a year. Health service organisations are demanding an extra £1,000 for everyone. And now over to Adrian Brown in Washington for the rest of the world news. Adrian.
Thank you, Gordon, and good morning from Washington. President Reagan has announced a new long-term American space program costing billions of dollars. It includes a plan to send a manned mission to Mars early in the next century, a permanent manned space station, and a base on the moon. The program would also allow private industry to launch rockets and place satellites in space. NASA Administrator James Fletcher said the policy had historic implications.
The policy clearly establishes that for the first time, the United States has a long-range goal of expanding human presence and activity beyond Earth orbit into the solar system.
A close friend and former aide of President Reagan is facing a 6-year jail term after being convicted of illegal lobbying. Lynn Nofziger was Mr. Reagan's political advisor until 1982. Yesterday, a court heard how he'd peddled influence and made money off his old government contacts. He'll be sentenced next month. The Nofziger case follows the recent conviction of another former White House aide, Michael Deaver. He was found guilty of perjury. Panama's leader, General Manuel Noriega, has again denied all charges of involvement in international drug smuggling. But at the same time, a Senate hearing in Washington has been told of more allegations against him. An accountant who worked for a Colombian cocaine ring has claimed that the general helped him launder billions of dollars of drug money through Panama. In return, he alleged, Noriega received a total of $300 million in payoffs for his services. In Israel, troops have shot dead another Palestinian youth. It raises the unofficial death toll in the occupied territories to at least 54 in over 2 months of violence. And finally, Los Angeles is this morning clearing up after yesterday's earthquake, which jolted a wide area of Southern California, causing 30 injuries and at least 1 death. The quake, measuring 5 on the Richter scale, resulted in little major damage, but it sent goods tumbling off many supermarket shelves. And that's it from Washington. Back now to Gordon Honeycomb in London.
Here at home, 1,300 British victims of the drug Opron will have to declare today whether they'll accept a compensation offer from the American manufacturers, Eli Lilly. The deadline was set by the High Court. Most are believed to have accepted the terms of the offer, although the Opron Victims Association say that payments could be as low as £1,800. Meanwhile, a Gallup poll out today says 3/4 of the public think the government should do more to help Opron victims. 22 men will appear before magistrates in Manchester this morning, charged with violent offences at football matches. One man has been charged with serious wounding, the others with riot offences. 20 Liverpool football fans being held in prison in Belgium will find out today whether they'll be allowed to return to Britain until their trial takes place. They're due to face charges next month over their part in the Heysel Stadium riot in 1985. From Brussels, Elaine Lipworth reports.
The prisoners have been behind bars here at Leuven Central Jail since they were extradited to Belgium last summer. They've been charged with causing the deaths of 39 Juventus fans. 2 of the jailed Liverpool fans were allowed home last year, but all 22 will eventually have to face Belgian justice. The judge here at the Palais de Justice has been considering the case for the past 3 days, and today he'll decide whether the prisoners will be freed. But lawyers here think it's unlikely that they will be allowed to return home because of the difficulty of ensuring that they do all come back to the trial. Elaine Lipworth, TVAM, Brussels.
Finally, cricket, and on the first day of the first test in New Zealand, Chris Broad scored a century, and at close of play, England were 235 for 4. That's the news. It's 8 minutes past 8. Anne.
Gordon, thank you very much. All this week at this time we've been looking at the health service and the options open to Mrs Thatcher in her wide-ranging review. We have had a huge response, with a considerable number of people showing an interest in private medical insurance and thinking it could be made cheaper. Well, we're going to keep a close watch on health matters, and as soon as there are any more developments we will let you know what they mean. Meanwhile, please keep writing in and let us know what you think. In a moment we'll look at the latest moves in the very sad saga of the arthritis drug Opren. First though, we'll take a short break.
Every woman needs options.
Hey, what's with the singing, Fred? You have birdseed for breakfast?
Try a bowl of tea, Barney. Tasty as cornflakes, healthy as bran flakes.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, helps set me up for the day. It's full of fiber and... Whoa, yabba dabba doo!
Yabba dabba what, Fred?
Team, the only cereal with...
Yabba dabba doo!
I got the cane of chips today. Kids really made them as okay.
What if the cane? What would you say?
40% less fat.
Chips with a crisp golden taste, and that's why I'm a McCain fan.
Better than chips from a chip pan.
40% less fat.
McCain oven chips really taste great. Don't like a flash from your plate, mate. Chips that are bang up to date, mate.
40% less fat.
McCain oven chips. Better for taste, better for you.
When you've got a chesty cough, but don't want a medicine that slows you down or makes you sleepy, there's an effective remedy that lets you keep going. Niralex expectorant made by Boots. That's better. When you're feeling out of order, turn to Boots Medicines.
A finger of fudge is just enough to give your kids a treat. A Cadbury's fudge is just enough until it's time to eat. It's full of Cadbury goodness and very small and neat. A finger of fudge is just enough to give your kids a treat.
When the kids complain that the house is chilly and your heating bills are just plain silly, Super Wrap your locks 6 inches thick. Super Wrap, that'll do the trick.
Hello again. Today, the 1,344 victims of the arthritis drug Opren must decide whether or not they'll accept the compensation being offered by the drug manufacturers Eli Lilly. Now, the firm marketed the drug about 5 years ago to relieve the symptoms of arthritis, but soon patients found they were suffering liver and kidney failure, a gravely sensitive skin condition, and some patients died. In America, whilst not admitting responsibility for the deaths, the firm Eli Lilly offered huge sums of money as compensation to victims and their families, in one case £2.5 million. In Britain, each sufferer has been offered £1,800 on average. Many British families are appalled by the offer, but are now tempted to accept. One man who thinks they shouldn't is David Mason, and he of all people should know how to fight for more money. In the 60s, he fought the company Distillers, who manufactured thalidomide.